I'm getting a. Okay, here we go. Okay, good. I'm recorded.
Yes.
For posterity. Is this worthwhile? Okay. Welcome all. I want to say thank you for having me, and I want to welcome all the new folks here and new faces that I have not seen before, and just say thank you. Thank you for having me in this new year, for having me on this topic. This is the third time I'm speaking on intention. There's a message, and I'm stubborn. And I'm really grateful to speak on this topic, as expansive, rich as it is. And I really struggled with that. It's like, where do I start? Where do you start? Where does a bird start describing the sky? How does a fish describe the water it's in? How do I describe this thing that I feel so deeply that I'm living in at all times? Even when I'm not conscious of it, that it's just always operating. So where do I start? Well, I started by looking at just what other traditions had to say. And I found this to be such a golden thread through all the world traditions. In the Dhammapada, the twin verses say, our life is shaped by our mind. We become what we think. Suffering follows an incomplete thought, as the wheels of a cart follow the oxen that draw it. Our life is shaped by our mind. We become what we think. Joy follows a pure thought, like a shadow that never leaves. Like a shadow that never leaves. So funny when we think of shadow. It's often the thing that we think we have to contend with, wrestle with. But interesting that the Dhammapada invites us to consider this companion of ours, this ever-present companion of ours. That even in the darkest moments, we still have a bit of a shadow. And it is with us, and it is our joy. It may be the fertile ground from which intention comes alive. Islam takes a similar view in calling, it's called Umrah, by the way, in Islam. And intention is defined as a thought or resolve to do something in the future. Pretty practical, down to earth, doesn't put judgment on it, but it does imply an action for the greater good. Again, just like the Dhammapada, where joy follows a pure, complete thought. And it is the shadow that never leaves. So I'm wondering if 80% of the work around intention is just awareness. Awareness to its ever-presence, that every moment by moment we are intending that moment. Through our thoughts, through our words. And this is not an invitation, by the way, to do some new age shaming of ourselves, right? Where we can just be like, oh, look what I invited in. Look at this crap that I made happen. It is really a gentle, compassionate view of how we are co-creators in every moment. That our thoughts, we are praying all the time. All the time. And all these traditions will invite us to continual prayer to reset us, just like the opening songs we had, the opening prayers that we had, that every moment is like a Sabbath. It's like this hour, where we can be re-invited to be intentional, to co-create that which we would love to see, and frankly, to do some housekeeping, to watch those thoughts come across our way, those ones that are incomplete, that may have us judging our neighbor instead of loving our neighbor, that may have us judging ourselves, approbation for being not good enough, incomplete, lacking. Maybe there's another way. So awareness, the invitation to be awake, that might be all the work. And even those of us that doubt in the existence of a higher power, And I say this because I do believe that doubt is an incredibly important force in shaping and really deepening our faith. You can't really know one without the other, in my view. And I have wrestled deeply with doubt, and it has enriched my life. Yet even in the midst of doubt, is there not an intention for clarity, integrity, honesty, that even in the muck, or what we might label as muck, that there is not a gift there that is propelling us forward, that is fertile ground for something new, something greater. I sometimes look at nature as our greatest teacher. And have you ever noticed how indefatigable nature is? It just keeps going on. It intends life so fully, so generously, so unabashedly. It just keeps on going. Reminds me of the King James Bible beginning, right? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. That these things, this experience is really, really one thing, is it not? And it's so easy for us to forget the oneness at all times. But to me, intention just is a continual calling to unity. All things are one thing. We co-create. And awareness is at the heart of it. Awaken. We are invited. Awaken. In the Tao, it says in verse 10, hold fast to the power of the one. It will unify the body and merge it with spirit. It will cleanse the vision and reveal the world as flawless. It will focus the life force and make one supple as a newborn. Supple as a newborn. I love that. An invitation to beginner's mind. Invitation that, sure, we might be whatever number of years we might be on this planet, but that we are born again in a way. And I know that has Christian connotations. I don't mean it necessarily that way, but you could take it that way. That this moment is new. You are reborn in it. Cleansed, free, merged with the Spirit, holding fast to the power of one. Maybe I'm being too esoteric though, right? We are practical human beings and sometimes we just do things backwards, right? We live in a world where we have been thoroughly conditioned for separation, hierarchy. We call it things like order to gloss it over, but oftentimes it's just separation. And maybe we are intending in this world, doing it a little backwards, that we intend for the result rather than the way, that we are looking at the effects and not intending with the cause. And I would offer to you that one of the most profound ways that I have found in my life, and maybe it's of service to you, is to operate from the place of gratitude as the place of cause, of being thankful for right here, right now, as it is, messy as it might be, mucky as it might be, holding to the power of one, that good is coming of this, that maybe the seed is sprouting beneath the ground that I can see, but that one day it will sprout to the sky. That it's not about the result. I would love it to be about the result, wouldn't you? But it's about the path. It's about the circuitous route of love, of community, of relationships, of, yes, messiness, but also of rising again. Nature is indefatigable. Spirit through us never gives up. Have you thought about how many times you have risen again? Have you? It's a miracle. And may we be grateful for it. So, from that gratitude, maybe we can invite this idea of wholeness. This idea that sure, things are well and they're complete, and yet at the same time, there's this paradox, especially of the leaders that Ted mentioned in his opening prayer. Martin Luther King Jr. that we're celebrating, that there's also more too. That we can intend from a place of wholeness rather than brokenness, rather than lack, right? Don't pray for something because I'm missing it, but knowing that I'm complete and that I can grow more, learn more, expand more, evolve more, which is life's calling, Spirit's calling for all of us. May we intend for wholeness, from wholeness, knowing that life is always expanding the pie. Life is not a limited resource. I know that sounds so weird to hear and say. Life is not a limited resource. It abounds breathlessly within each of us. Supple as a newborn in a world that we may see as flawless, merged with the Spirit, holding fast to the power of one. So this acknowledgement, I was going for a AAA motif today, by the way, because I was driving here and I was afraid of a flat tire, and somebody told me, you better get AAA on the way here. So awareness is number one. Number two, acknowledgement. Acknowledgement of our wholeness. Accepting is the third one. Accepting of what comes from a place of gratitude. And understanding that this might sound simple, but simple is not always easy. Wholeness sounds a lot simpler in concept than practicing it moment by moment. You're in that chair, your back hurts, not feeling very whole in that moment, are you? But there is a miraculous body keeping us together. A thought goes astray. Can we hold that in compassion and love? Recognizing that, yes, the muck is part of the wholeness too. So may we allow that we are always beginning anew. Free ourselves and know that this is a new moment, a new place of our power where we can intend with diligence, yes, awareness, with love and compassion, and with the whispering of thank you under and around us, that this is all good. So intend carefully, because intention is constant. Intend patiently. The path is the result. Intend generously. I heard that word before, generously. Because wholeness, the ever-presence of wholeness, will always make itself known. Good is ours. The good is ours. And intend with gratitude, for it is already done. And that may be the hardest of all, to know that it is already done. Could we just play a little experiment with ourselves and just consider that on the path, sometimes we're playing catch up. We might think that the shadow, that pure joy, is behind us, but it actually is in front of us. And that we may be catching up because it is already done. Our joy is already done. Our goodness, our greatest moment is already done. So it is.